Hey, you guys, it's your girl T Jamaica Pogue, affectionately known as Deconstructing Neuro, and I am here with my big sister, LaMia Radiant. Welcome to the very first episode of our joint podcast, Hold Up, Let Me Call My Sis. And speaking of sis, what's up, big sis?
Hello, hello. I forget if we're doing a video of this at all. No, 'cause I'm
We are.
blazing.
I mean, well, we
Oh,
got the
okay.
video going. I don't know if people gonna see it,
Right,
but we see each other.
right. Yes. Hello, hello, listeners. Mm. Oh, who I am? I should say my name. So yes, I
Right.
am LaMia on Instagram. If you follow me, I go by LaMia Radiant. I'm really considering actually changing my last name to that legally, but for now, I mean, that's a long story, y'all. I'm sure we'll get to it at some point in the
Hmm.
lifespan of this pod. But yeah. So for right now, Lamia will do, and I guess a little about myself and even what kind of got me on board to do this joint venture. um, I also have a podcast of my own that I started pretty much during the height of the quarantine called Y'all Gotta Go With Me. Okay, spelled how it sounds. Um, and essentially, I would categorize that podcast as I wouldn't say lifestyle, but it kind of was a journey of like my life and whatever. It was I would almost call it like a vlog of some kind, like a journal vlog of mine, where like if anyone remembers how weird and isolated the pandemic was, and if you were actually trying to quarantine in some respectable amount. um,
Right.
you find yourself having, talking to yourself a lot more than usual. Like I'm somebody who would talk to myself often. But you find yourself being in your head a lot more and having to do, if you're an artistic person, you just have to have outlets somehow. I think during that time I even produced this like virtual artistic dance theater thing. Like I was sent a camera with lighting and a costume and a backdrop and told to like just make up a character and whatever, and it ended up in like the New York Times, their digital paper. Um so yeah, there were a lot of like weird projects I was doing at that time. Oh, and also I'm a dancer and a overall performing artist. So yeah, you'll hear a lot of weird stuff like this, a lot of weird stories like this from me. Yeah, so I started that podcast out of basically boredom, and it's been going pretty well. It started becoming more topical. I had a few interviews where I interviewed a lot of artists in Atlanta, where I am based. Um, so that was a nice little time talking to some dancer friends of mine. And then it kind of morphed into more topical things, which gratefully my sister agreed to indulge me on. And we're currently wrapping one of those topics up. And yeah, so it's something I'll still engage with. It's much more frequent though, since I've started a new job that is a bit more time consuming. But I do try to tend to it every now and then whenever I feel the urge. And this podcast would be much more consistent with my accountability partner here, and vice versa too. So yeah, so
Absolutely.
we're kind of merging that element of my pod where it's a bit philosophical and more like how I would speak about how I was viewing certain events, current events, just world issues, social issues. And so we'll be doing a little bit of that here as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I also have my own podcast called Beyond Deconstructing, and that started in 2022 after I had been on a almost 2 years at that point journey of introspecting and understanding that I am autistic and have ADHD, and just learning more about myself, going through a healing journey that also started during quarantine. It's funny that both of our paths kind of started during that time. But I had a major shift in my life where I moved from being in autopilot and kind of being like dissociated all day and not realizing it, to being removed from that environment, being at home all day and realizing the differences in how I felt and how I really did not have the urge to rejoin society. And in fact, I felt a lot more energized and a lot better. And I had more time to actually focus on myself once I was away, which led me down the path of going through a healing journey that led me to being officially diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety, and then peer reviewed, I like to say,
Mm-hmm.
self-identified as autistic. So,
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I built a little bit of a following on TikTok, and I became a part of an amazing and robust online autistic community. And I became connected with so many amazing people from many different backgrounds, with many different journeys to understanding their autism and neurodivergence overall. And because of that, I wanted to start a podcast where we
Mm-hmm.
would have candid conversations with people who are often not represented in the autism, ADHD, and neurodivergent kind of space, to
Mm-hmm.
share their backstories, share how we can come from different places and have different experiences, be both formally and informally diagnosed, but also have a lot of similarities, because at the end of the day, we are all autistic, and kind of just breaking
Mm-hmm.
down and deconstructing these ideas, most largely incorrect and harmful ideas of what autism and
Mm-hmm.
ADHD are.
Mm-hmm.
My tagline is kind of like changing the face of autism, right? And because that became a my niche, and I became kind of a subject matter expert, not necessarily a subject matter expert, but I've always had an interest in psychology. I studied psychology,
Mm-hmm.
and then the independent study I've done about autism and ADHD, I started to have the crossover with Y'all Gotta Go With Me
Mm-hmm.
um once you started to be a little bit more topical and do your deep dive into your current hyperfixation of Michael Jackson.
Forever, not current.
There you
Forever.
go.
No,
Well,
wait.
you know what I mean. Like your
Go
recent,
ahead.
like extra hard, like standing of Michael Jackson. Your more like recent deep dives into Michael Jackson, I should say, because I know you've
Right.
been a fan, but like you've been a super fan
Yeah, it
the
is
last
pretty
like
recent.
year and a half or
Two
so.
years.
2 years.
It's been
Oh,
2 years,
2 years.
girl.
Okay, excuse me. Last almost 2 years. And so because of that, we started to have like some more conversations where we would be like analyzing different aspects of his life through our different lenses. And we kind of realized that like we're sisters. We have a lot in common. We think a lot alike, but there are also many things about us that are different, and even perspectives that we either just straight up don't agree on, or like have to have conversations about to like
Mm-hmm.
work through. And a lot of the times our conversations are funny, they're raw, unexpectedly deep. We bounce
Mm.
between personal stories, pop culture, current events, random musings about life. But we have two distinct but complementary perspectives, and things always stay interesting. So we
Mm-hmm.
decided to merge our worlds and do Hold Up, Let Me Call My Sis. And also, I wanted to say, like, LaMia already alluded, she's in Atlanta. I'm in the Philadelphia area, but we grew up in South Jersey. But now that LaMia is in Atlanta and I'm still in the Philly area, most of our catch ups happen over the phone. And they
Mm-hmm.
usually last for hours because we don't seem to
It's
have a
epic at this
consistent.
point.
I know, right? Like we like our longest one is just shy of 6 hours, which is crazy. But anyway, so that's
Straight
usually
through, y'all.
straight
No
through,
stop.
no breaks, no potty breaks, no nothing.
No.
And
Oh
so
my
we were just
god.
like, you know what, we would like to speak more consistently, but also a lot of the times, and this isn't tooting our own horns, but we would be sitting there like, yo, why weren't we recording this conversation? Because we would be dropping straight up like nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah,
And
like
so, and then like I feel like also, as somebody who listens to podcasts, and I know you do too, I haven't come across one that like connects dots the way that we end up doing in our conversations. And I really think it would be interesting for other people to listen to.
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. That's why I have signed on to do this. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I think it should definitely be etched in time, like a time capsule of, our thoughts and ideas on things. Because I do think that a lot of the world is so black and white, and we oftentimes will really, really like get comfortable in that gray area. Um, and I think a lot of balance is needed in the world like that, current, especially now.
To period. Yes, like that's a great segue into a segment that we're gonna call Watcher and Dancer. And it's actually inspired by a Louise Gluck quote of two sisters. One is always the watcher and one the dancer. LaMia, a literal dancer and artistic director, is more socially outgoing and kind of ready to take leaps, whereas I lean into being the watcher. I'm very analytical, I analyze patterns and put things together. So that helps us to work through this gray area and kind of like challenge binaries. And
Hmm.
so Watcher and Dancer is our little segment where we're gonna be basically discussing current events and like what we see and like I don't know, just our views, our different perspectives on what's going on.
Where did you get what's the quote though from for that name? Isn't it like a poem, or what's the quote you
Yeah,
got that name from?
it's Louise Gluck, and it just says of
Hmm.
two sisters, one is always the watcher and one the dancer.
Hmm.
And I read that and I was like, oh, yeah, that's us. That is
We
definitely
almost
us.
called the pod that. We almost gave the pod that title.
Right, but I felt like that would
Yeah.
be a little bit too obscure. Plus, like,
Hmm.
we not always gonna be serious. Like, firstly, that's
Right.
just not us. But secondly, like, I do think it's important, like you were saying, to challenge like the binary black or white thinking and approach things with nuance. And what's more important than discussing what's going on currently with nuance as opposed to
Hmm.
just looking at it like it's cut and dry because it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, with that said, what is our topic for today? The
Oh,
very first topic.
yeah, we're starting off heavy because we're recording this on Friday the 13th. If you didn't realize that
Days.
today is Friday the
Oh,
13th, I know, right? Crazy,
Jesus.
right? June 13th of 2025. And this week we have we have
Mm,
basically taken off any kind of veil that has been there of civility in our
mm,
society, seeing what's happening in Los Angeles as well as other major cities around the country with freedom of speech being attacked, with people being literally abducted by nameless, faceless agents who are just following orders. And my
crazy.
autistic brain goes directly to we've seen this before, and we've seen it within the last 100 years, and we know how this turns out. But there are still so many people who are either willfully ignorant or so um like have
Delusional.
blinders on. Yeah, delusional, or they
Mm,
have blinders on because they're so overwhelmed. Like I think we were talking about this not too long ago where you were just like overwhelmed. You were just like, I got so much stuff going on in my personal life. I haven't even noticed this. So it's like it's either willful ignorance or
mm,
people just honestly like just trying to survive day to day with a new horror happening every day that they haven't been able to put two and two together to realize that like our fight is all the same, and the reason why they're so
yeah.
distracted in their everyday life is to keep them from recognizing what we could and should be doing.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about like when I thought about being feeling overwhelmed, it's one of those things where like you know my journey, especially over the last 7, 8 years, and let's say you've been really, really working toward a thing, and then now the world looks like it's like going to hell in a handbasket, and you're like, well, do I just take my eyes off what I've been working on all this time to like now be, So I do get it when people are kind of like, I get it. A lot of things are going on for a lot of people, but I'm going to focus on the fact that I'm not those people because of what can I really do about it? Like I'm oftentimes in this conversation going to probably come off like a devil's advocate, and that's important to know about specifically with this conversation we're going to have is that I tend to see both sides of a situation. Like I can kind of understand where people are coming from, even if I don't agree with them. I can understand a lot of times how they got there. Um, and I like to bring that to the conversation because, especially now that we're recording it and it's going to live in the ethos or whatever, because a lot of times those reasons aren't addressed. And like people are made out to be just like demonized and villainized and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's just human. It's just human to not want to be overwhelmed with everybody, with all the problems of the world. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so many going on. And if you're like, well, at least I ain't a woman, or at least I ain't a person of color, at least I'm not an immigrant. If you're just like, oh, all I can do is hang my mind on the fact that at least I'm not. I mean, who can't understand that at least? So
Right.
yeah, it's a lot going on, and particularly for this group of people that we were talking about in our preparation for this. Well, first of all, you said you saw that there were something's going on in all the different cities. That's kind of what was the impetus for what started the conversation yesterday was the occupying certain cities or something's going on in that regard.
Right. Absolutely. And actually, just to take a step back, what you said
Mm,
perfectly illustrates why nuance is needed because that is an example of the binary thinking. You have people who get that all of these things are happening and they're passionate about them. They have a justice seeking spirit, and so they may attack people who seem detached or are distracted or are overwhelmed as like them being morally defunct because they're not
mm,
out there screaming and fighting, which makes people feel a certain way, and a lot of the times people's feelings supersede them being receptive to information. And so it is important for us to have conversations where we acknowledge both sides, even if we don't agree with it, and even in taking a firm stance ourselves without demonizing people necessarily,
mm,
unless you're just straight up wrong. If you're fucking racist, like don't come here, don't be in this space.
mm,
If
mm.
you're a sexist, don't be in this space. If you're,
Or
yeah,
a whole incel for real?
period,
Bye
like
bye.
bye
Don't do
bye.
it.
Like it's some things that are not up for debate, but
Right.
acknowledging the intricacies and the nuance and the gray area is super important. But yeah, like what started the whole conversation that we had the other day was I saw um this happened in LA. It was a bunch of cops lined up in like 80 pounds of gear each,
Mm,
thinking they tough when they really look ridiculous. And this white lady was just walking up to them, nothing in her hand. She was not a threat. And they were blocking the street to her apartment building. And she was just asking if she could walk past them to go home.
mm,
And this one cop, unprovoked, shot her. Now, granted, it was a rubber bullet, but still, them shits can do damage. And at basically point blank range, she shot her in the stomach
mm.
for just trying to go home. And then I saw another video right after that of this Australian reporter, another white lady, who had her
Mm.
back turned to the cops about to do like a news report, and they shot her in the leg.
Yeah, I think I actually did come across that one.
And I'm like, this is the kind of shit that people were warning people about, the 92%. We were trying to warn y'all, but y'all hate women and especially black women so much that y'all would rather vote for a sentient turd a fucking asinine, narcissistic liar,
I mean, there's a whole book out from his aunt or somebody.
or his niece or
Like
something like that. One of
somebody
them.
she straight up was clocked that she straight clocked him. Like he's a full out malignant narcissist, and it's obvious.
Right. And so, but it's
Mm,
crazy to think like, like we told you so. Yeah, we told you so. And I'm gonna rub it in your
mm,
face because we're on the right side of history in this regard. The people who recognize that this is not a lesser of two evils kind of conversation.
mm,
But even with that
mm,
being said, speaking of nuance, right? Another thing that I've heard a lot of people say is like, well, voting for Kamala would have just delayed the inevitable. And
mm.
to some degree, I agree
What would be
because
the inevitable?
the inevitable is the deterioration of the American empire, basically. Because I would say since the end of World War II, it's been a downward spiral. Yes, there have been
Mm-hmm.
some improvements, quote unquote, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, blah, blah, blah. A
Mm,
lot of the times it was just the same shit, different toilet. It was made to look better, but the systems
right.
at work that permeate this society never went away. And this current administration and this current political climate is proof of that. Like
Yeah.
this is how people, especially in like the middle of the country, because the coasts are very different than the middle of the country.
Mm-hmm.
The coasts
Right.
are very diverse. But the vast majority of the country is made up of people who have perpetuated this ideology over generations and
Yeah.
finally feel like they have a chance to have their voice heard and are willing to see the destruction of others if it makes them feel powerful in return. And so if
Mm,
Kamala would have won, it definitely wouldn't have been this bad and this fast,
mm-hmm.
but it also would have just been delaying the inevitable because
They stick to
it's
the status quo too much.
yeah,
The
exactly.
Democrats.
And this is taking the pretty face off of the ugly politics and just letting it all be ugly and all hang out so
Mm-hmm.
that more people are able to see what's going on and address it. It's fucked up that we are living through this time and that we have to, be bear witness to it, but you can't heal what you don't address. And
I mean, I agree. I actually think that like that's just it's almost like the law of the universe, like the pendulum. You know, it always will swing. At some point, it will get all the way to one side or the other, and I almost feel like it's just bound to happen. Like there is something about like chaos, the law of chaos. I don't know if that's a thing, but it almost feels like it should be because like
right.
it just always feels like at least on a global, even if you look at your own life and your own personal life, I like when things are going really really well, you're always just kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop sometimes because that's the pattern. It's like
Mm-hmm.
winter will come. Winter always comes. So yeah, I
Ooh.
mean,
Sorry. Here I go. ADHD. Hey, look, a squirrel. But I Googled law of chaos to see if it was like a
Give
real
it to
thing.
me.
So, right, it came up with chaos theory. And science
Mm,
describes systems where small changes in initial conditions could lead to vastly different outcomes over time, making long-term prediction difficult. It's often characterized by a seeming randomness, but underlying
mm,
patterns, interconnections, and feedback loops can still be found. And yeah. So like we were saying, like there was tiny little changes here. So yeah, we got voting rights, we got, Civil Rights Act, we got women being able to have our own bank accounts and credit cards and da 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 da. But those were small little changes that led to what seemed like a vastly different outcome over time.
mm-hmm.
But when you look at the underlying pattern and how it's interconnected, it all was to cover up
It was
um
lipstick on a pig, really. Lipstick on a
exactly.
pig.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a
I mean,
that's why Go ahead.
You always gotta go back to the foundation and the root. Like, how did this place start? It became a world dominating country. How? Because that's what it's going to revert back to when it's in trouble. When it's put in a corner, it's going to go back to that thing that got them there.
Exactly. And that's exactly what's happening. So this country was founded by greedy and lazy people who put lipstick on a pig by saying, "We want freedom from tyranny." This is funny. This is
Mm.
so fucking ironic. We want freedom from tyranny. We want to be free of the crown of England. So we're
Right.
gonna go and kill off the native population of another land and use the Bible as an excuse for manifest destiny and enforce Christianity on these people, kill them with our filthiness because we brought disease because we don't know how to bathe, and then fight the crown for independence,
Hmm.
all while enslaving people who were here and that they kidnapped from Africa to do their work and build their country and build their riches. That to this day, the wealthiest people, for the most part, their money is connected to the money that was generated by the free labor of enslaved Africans. And
Hmm.
so they faced enough economic pressure each time. Like if you go back and look at patterns, it was always economic pressure that caused any
Always.
kind of change. So um
Yep.
Lincoln was not an
I was
anti-slavery.
literally about to say, like, let's start from the top. He ain't do that. He ain't do that shit. We cussing here. We can cuss. We cussing, right? Oh, we okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
This ain't no
he
kid friendly podcast. FYI.
he did not do that shit out of some moral standard or some spiritual high ground.
So yeah, he did it because he like economic reasons. Like the South was making money off of cotton and da 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 da. And the North was becoming more industrialized, but he realized that they would be stronger together, and so he
Mm.
didn't like basically. It's some quote, and I'm paraphrasing, but there was like a quote from Lincoln. He was like, "If I could unite the Union and keep slavery, I
I
would."
would. He
But
actually
I
said that.
can't, so we're gonna have to do X, Y, and Z, right? And got capped for it by straight up racists. He talk about some down with
Mm.
tyranny. That's what Wilkes Booth was basically saying when he killed Lincoln, was calling him a tyrant, right? We go
Mm.
from that to literally people flying Trump flags, Mango Mussolini, the tangerine tyrant,
Jacob
like,
Mussolini
you
is
know what I
crazy.
mean? Like, so it's crazy. But anyway, so I'm jumping around because again, ADHD. So then after that, then we have, black people are no longer legally property, but they make all these
Mm.
laws that restrict our ability to be able to make a living for ourselves. So then they have things like
Mm-hmm.
indentured servitude and sharecropping, where they get paid in plantation dollars as opposed to real money,
Mm-hmm.
and basically it keeps
Mm.
them where they are. There's no real chance for economic growth, and
Yes.
um
I
and
love how
then
sinners utilize that fact too.
period. And we're gonna
Great
get into
movie.
we're gonna get
Great
into
movie.
sinners soon. That's a great, yeah. We're gonna get
uh,
into that soon because yes, chef's kiss. But then yeah, and then we can fast forward to the 50s and 60s where black people were becoming more connected, and we were learning how
mm-hmm.
to build community, and like understood that our fights and our struggles were intertwined. And because of putting economic pressure, especially in like Montgomery and in the South, by taking our dollars away, they realized that okay, so we're gonna have to integrate with these motherfuckers because if not, they just gonna build their own, and then we can't make money off of them, right?
Before they realized they need to integrate, they first destroyed every ounce of community we were trying to build separate from them. Like, you don't want
Absolutely.
us with you, you want us separate. And then when you see us thriving, then you literally, I don't even know how they got bombs. Who gave them bombs
Right.
to put on an entire city? Like,
Yeah,
so that, yeah,
exactly.
but once they realize,
Exactly.
oh, we can't even bomb them to death, really, then it's like, oh, well, you can't beat them, let them join us, which I, to this day, I feel like was a mistake. But
Yeah, to some
And
degree, I
they still
agree.
ended up segregating us anyway. They still found a way economically to still segregate us. That public schools are clearly not the same.
Exactly. When you base them off of property taxes and then you do stuff like destroy cities and turn them into like hoods basically by taking
Ghettos.
away from
Yep.
like literally like yes. So this isn't a history podcast. Google is free. Y'all can figure this out. But
Do your
basically we're
Googles.
saying this, do your Googles. But basically what we're seeing is that this was inevitable because we never actually addressed the root of the ugly history of this country, and all it has done has it's shape shifted and morphed to adapt to the current times without actually changing anything underneath. And so that's a great segue into Sinners,
Mm, mm, mm.
because we was talking about Sinners. Firstly, if you haven't seen Sinners, spoiler alerts, because we're
What
not
are you
holding
waiting
back. And
for?
also, exactly, what are you waiting for? Because like it's a masterpiece.
Been
It
out since
deserves all the
April.
things. Like you can now like buy it on
It's
streaming, which I have, and I've
yeah,
watched
like
it
it's
twice
on
already.
streaming,
Like
meaning that you're too late. Like you should have been seeing it. But yeah, so whatever.
period. But like I was talking about how Remick, the vampire guy, how his character literally would drain other like information
Mm-hmm.
and energy and life from other people in pursuit of trying to find his way home. And I feel like that's such a
Mm,
perfect analogy for white supremacy and colonization, because
mm,
the when you look at like the people who were like the settlers and the colonialists and people who still had that colonial mindset, they came from Europe, where there was infighting all the time, where they were fighting amongst themselves, where they had hierarchy, where it was um like feudal Europe, where it was like you had serfs and peasants and kings and da 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 da.
mm.
And once they finished fighting and killing each other, they left and decided to do that all around the world under the banner of being conquerors,
Right.
being these like, and they painted it in this light of them being so powerful and so mighty because they were able to go into other places, when in reality they were devoid of anything themselves and needed to steal from other people and shapeshift and like go into these other communities and extract and pull from them because of
Yeah.
their own lack of connection to each other and to their environment. And I think that's why one of the first things that they do is separate indigenous people from their spirituality and force their version of spirituality on them to try to sever their connection to source
Mm,
and make them dependent on their view and feed them the white supremacist lie.
mm.
Even though falling in line with that kind of colonial thinking is a watered down version of living, like
Yeah.
what Stack wound up saying at the end. You know, yeah, that day was the best day of my life. It was the last time I saw my brother. It was the last time I saw the
I
sun,
saw a date.
and it was
Mm.
the last time.
And
And for
that's the
one night, we
source.
was actually free. And
Mm.
after that, even though he's immortal, he's living a half
Hmm.
life.
He's
He's
trapped.
traded,
Yeah.
yeah, he's traded rejoining the ancestors, his connection to source, his connection to spirit, for this watered down, diluted version of living. And to me, that is such
Mm.
the perfect fucking like analogy for white supremacy and colonization.
It literally is like they are the living dead. Like those vampires are. Like, yeah, they're physically alive, and even they even seem impenetrable or like immortal. Like almost nothing can kill them, right? Don't these evil MFers seem to just live forever, like type
Right.
shit. Um, but they're basically walking around soulless. And it's like it's like baffling when you encounter them, And it's interesting too because like while it started, at least in the film, and probably there's probably a backstory to how Remick even became a vampire or where it started from or something. But just the fact that they went and also, uh killed black people and had them joining them is a great analogy too for how that works in society because you get a lot of your own talking crazy.
Uh-huh.
Sounding a lot like them, right? Sounding very capitalist and just clearly not having a connection to their ancestors. And it can look like they do. Like they can seem very Afrocentric or, in appearance or in like or in like a general their personality might seem like they're connected, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty and you see how they really move, they moving more like they got bit in the neck.
Yeah, that's what I
They
say.
moving
All
like we're not letting you in here.
period. And it's like that's why you say all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And but that's the goal of colonization and white supremacy is to feed you that lie that the proximity to whiteness um is going to save you in some kind of way. And because we see like how society is and how nothing has really changed and that having some kind of privilege does in many ways help you, there are people who still have that internalized white supremacy, whether it's thinking that, oh well, and this also feeds into why it's so hard for a lot of us to build community, and there's that crab in a barrel type mentality.
Especially now, yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard for you to get them to open up their eyes and be like, but crabs aren't supposed to be in a barrel.
Ah,
Like
bueno, pues,
who put the crabs in the barrel?
Come
They're
on.
too worried about trying to
That's
climb up this ladder, trying to be part of the system, part of the hierarchy, get this validation and this clout in a system that we weren't even supposed to be in, something that
in.
isn't natural. You know what
Mm,
I mean? And it's like it's crazy to me, but it's like that um people would rather have comfort than
courage.
authenticity. Exactly.
Mm,
Comfort often outweighs courage.
mm,
And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people either being willfully ignorant because they're like, look, I'm good, I'm straight, I see what's going on, but it doesn't really affect me. Or they don't even
yet.
understand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or they don't even really truly understand. They're still asleep. They're not woke. The real
Right.
definition of woke. Aware of what the fuck is going on because
Aware.
they just like think that, well, this is how shit is. So it is what it is.
Mm,
So why challenge what is? Like I'm out here trying to get my bread. I'm out here trying to, do my thing and I'm winning personally. They don't even really see that like, no, you're not, because you're still caught in the system where you have to grind, where you have to do
yeah.
all this X and the other just to like barely make ends meet, when in reality, like
Hmm.
we don't have to live this way. We've been forced to live this way as a
Hmm.
collective to feed the interests of a very few.
Yep. Yep. And that's the thing too. Like they really have convinced us to be individualistic. And that's never been how any society really has prospered or grown. It's very odd that that's the system we've created. When that's not how things become a thing. It's everything collaborative. No one does anything by themselves completely. So this individualistic this spirit that is mostly of the Western elk, like I don't know if it's this way in other major um countries. I mean, even someplace like China, who's like a really big country in competition with us often. There's still so much richness and depth and history to them, and there's so much like honor that they give to their elderly and stuff like that. That I just feel like this will always kind of put them slightly above us in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they don't be playing them games with TikTok. They very much curate TikTok. They kids not gonna be dumb doing dumb shit. Like they just think better than us.
Yeah, and it's
They really
because
do.
yeah, it's because they're still connected to source. Like,
Hmm.
when you go to countries that either were never colonized or fought back against colonization a while ago and were able to retain a lot of their heritage,
Mm,
you see that like community mindedness is like is integral to
mm,
their
mm,
society. Like you think about like you mentioned China, I think of like Japan, right? Like
mm,
during COVID, like,
mm,
firstly, Japan already was like, wearing masks on trains and like very clean and sanitary. But like during COVID, it was like even more so. And it's like if we take care of one another, we take care of ourselves. They understand that. They understand
mm,
that like their individual comfort is not more important than the collective, right? Um, but like you were saying, in our country, we have been fed this idea that you need to be an individual, that every man needs to be his king with his own kingdom, right? And so they force
mm,
this whole thing of the husband, the wife, and the two kids, and their own home
right.
and their own cars, which feeds into capitalism. Because if everybody has their own house and their own cars, then you're selling more houses and you're selling more cars, as opposed to like it takes a village where maybe a couple of families buy a compound together and pool their resources, and they buy one big
Exactly.
van and maybe one smaller car for errands or something like that, and like
Hmm.
sharing, like grow their own crops and then barter with their neighbors. Like, okay, we got this compound
Mm,
of six families, this compound of six families, this compound, and
yep.
they grow fruits and they grow vegetables and they grow herbs, and we all come
Hmm.
together and give each other what we need. Like, no, that doesn't help the few greedy sons of bitches who need to make who are actually living like kings, feeding you the
Hmm.
lie that if you get the 9 to 5 corporate job that you sell your life to for 40 plus hours a week,
Mm.
for 40 years of your life, that when you're 65, 70, you can finally
You
sit back and relax.
might,
You
might.
might be able to
Yeah,
sit back
if
and
they don't fuck
relax.
up the economy.
Exactly. But that's the thing. It's like we can literally be experiencing life as opposed to surviving life. The people who sold us a heaven above have built their heaven here off the backs of
Mm.
our labor. They
Hmm.
steal from us, they force us into servitude so that they can live a life of lavish luxury beyond compare, with the promise that, well, once you die, you'll be able to live like
Mm.
this forever.
Yeah.
Well, then why aren't
Ooh,
you giving up all your money while you're here? Because once you
it's
die, won't you go there
it's
too?
so virtuous to be poor now, right? But why rich people are telling you this? Like it's rich religious people. It's so virtuous, but like they don't do it.
Exactly. It's nuts. It is
And
actually
also, which is
insane.
it? Which is it? Does God? Do you get blessings if you're following the Lord, or are you supposed to be poor, and that means you're following the Lord? Which one is it though?
Whichever narrative will get you to sell your life or your time and your I call your life your life energy, your life currency, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is it reminds me of that movie In Time. You ever saw that with Justin Timberlake and Amanda
Yes,
Seyfried?
yes.
Such
Mm-hmm.
it's
It's
kind of
good.
underrated in my opinion, but it's
It
it's
is.
a
I
great
think so too.
analogy.
Yeah, for
Like,
real.
yeah, if you have the money, you can basically like live forever and stay young forever. And
Mm-hmm.
we see that with people popping up and getting these new procedures, looking 20 years younger, and bypassing insurance and just paying out of pocket for Ozempic, and like doing whatever. Meanwhile,
But
people,
also looking the same. You notice that? Like, I don't want to bring no names out, but there's a pretty famous family with two different names attached to them.
uh-huh,
And the monarch of that family looks very, very good these days. But
mm-hmm,
a lot like her daughters. She looks a lot like her
yeah,
daughters,
they
and
go
they
get
all
that
look
cut
like
and
a
paste
carbon
faced.
copy. Everyone's getting the same type of nose, the same type of eye like structure, whatever the fuck. They all want to be light, not but tan. or whatever the hell. Not too
You don't
dark, but
want
we
to
don't
say
want
it.
to
I'm
be
gonna say
pale.
it. That fucking Kim Kardashian and her clan, the Kardashian Jenner clan,
I'm talking
them
about her
bitches get on my
mama. Her
nerves.
mama looked hella. That she got some work done recently that got her looking crazy young.
Like
But
20
and I
years
go
younger.
and I listen. I'm not even gonna hold you. She looked good because we've seen bad cosmetic surgery.
Oh yeah.
She does look good. Not gonna hold you. But there's something about it that again is just very fake, and I mean we know it's fake, we know it's phony, and it's like there's a way to age gracefully and naturally that but she would still look just as good. Just she would look her age, or maybe or look,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like she wouldn't look like a carbon copy of something. It's just, yeah, aesthetically, it might be aesthetically pleasing in the moment while I'm looking at it with my eyes, but it's almost like how AI is. Like
It's
you'll see it,
soulless.
yeah, it's like you'll look at AI and you're like, it looks like the person, but then something's off about it. It gets to talking, the mood, something's always off, and it just doesn't sit right with your spirit.
Uncanny
You know
Valley. It's the Uncanny Valley effect.
what's that?
You never heard of Uncanny Valley?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I hear that a lot as an autistic person. But the uncanny valley is that okay, I just Googled it. So uncanny valley is it suggests that when a robot or a computer generated image appears almost but not quite like a human, it can evoke feelings
Mm.
of unease, revulsion, or even fear in observers. This uncanny feeling arises because the slight imperfections or deviations from human realism disrupt our expectations and trigger a sense of
Yeah.
something being off. And trust me, I've heard that a lot because a lot of people have that uncanny valley effect when it comes to high masking autistics. It's like we mask, we can fit in kinda, but there's just something that like neurotypicals can clock. And it's like it's something a little off. I can't put my finger on it, but it's something that's making me not feel right about this person. And a lot of times it makes them not trust us. But I feel like that's what it
Mm.
is when it comes to like these people who have like these carbon copy cut and paste faces. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you don't look like you. You look like uh it's just it's just so
Something
sad to
made.
me. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
artificial. And it's like, that's not human. That is not human to do that. Like, there's a place for plastic surgery. I think reconstructive surgery, whether you
Oh,
have an
absolutely.
accident or like, when you have a huge body change, like major weight loss, things like
Mm-hmm.
that, like, are necessary. Even for your personal, like, care. Like, people get, a little Botox, a little nip and tuck here. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But I feel
Yeah, a
like
little
when you,
maintenance.
yeah, exactly. Like, because not everybody is comfortable having like a saggy neck or something like that, even
Yeah.
though that's a natural part of aging. I
Mm-hmm.
get that. But once it starts to be like, okay, not all like everybody is looking the same, and
Yeah.
it's encouraging regular people to go into debt to try to look like these people who
Mm.
have unimaginable amounts of money. It's like
Mm.
it's so ridiculous. We don't need to be living like this.
No. And it's not even cute, if we're honest. Like, I mean, it's not even really that cute. Some of y'all be going way too far with it. The big ass lips, like you see how everybody's reverse BBLing because they look like
Yes.
ants.
Period. Oh my God, Mimi. I'll tell you about when I went to Miami for Brittany's birthday.
Oh my God,
I
I
saw
think you
some
might have,
of
but let the listeners know.
I saw the worst BBLs ever when I was in Miami. I'm talking about twig legs
Yeah,
and just big dumbasses.
like
Big,
knee
just
touching type legs, but you got this.
exactly like it looked awful like diaper booty all up and down
That's
South Beach.
crazy.
And these bitches
Ew.
swore they was cute, walking down the street with these big ass fake titties, no
Mm.
waist, and like no thighs, but all ass. And I was just like, y'all think this looks good? It looks terrible. It looks
Mhm.
horrendous. It
Yeah,
looked bad when
but
Kim Kardashian did it. But
I guess somebody like it if they keep. I mean, or they were doing it, but I think, and the only reason why they probably stopped is because a lot of men, because a lot of these women are just catered themselves to men, and they're gays,
mm-hmm.
and they stopped liking it. Just like the really big, and you know how back in the day, back in the like Pam Anderson days, big titties was the thing. I mean, it kind of still is, but It really was like every bitch had to get like implants, everybody.
Right.
Um, and now and then it became the BBL thing. So it's like y'all just always catering your bodies around what supposedly men are into, and even the kind of men that you're catering to. Like, why would you want to cater to those men?
Right.
Why the just
And to
because
be
they got money or
honest,
something? And then
and
they be the same ones bitching about women that only want men for money. But I'm like, you're the ones that only want women that look a certain way. Y'all deserve each other.
exactly. But to be honest, I really feel like both sides are being lied to because when you think about it, most men don't actually want those kind of women. They go for them because them getting those kind of procedures signals to them that they're pick me's or that they have low self-esteem. And so it's like, well, I could get this bitch because she clearly don't like herself and she'll feel happy to have my kind of validation, and then the
Yeah.
girls want that validation so they go for it. I don't But at the end of the day, a lot of these guys aren't genuinely attracted to that, to the fakeness. They would rather have somebody
Or
real,
women
but
probably. They probably not that
yeah,
because at the end of the day, a lot of these dudes getting these chicks and being with certain types of chicks that look a certain way to impress who? Other women?
no.
No. They want niggas to see them with a certain type of bitch. Why you want to impress your guy friends? Why
Yo, our society, look,
the
this it's because this conversation has now went full circle. I
has
always like to say that white supremacy is the parent, and things like sexism, colorism, misogyny are the children of white supremacy.
all the phobias.
All the phobias, all the isms are the children
Mm.
of white supremacy and colonialism. So we're gonna cut it there. Just, like we probably gonna
Yeah,
talk about this.
because I know we had another like major topic we ended up talking about the last time, but I was thinking that too. I was like, we already about an hour in.
Right, I know, right? Because this was we
That
gotta keep
part.
our eyes on the clock, like. But
Yes,
no,
that's
like
the proper behavior.
we gotta. That'll lead us into next time when we do Watcher and Dancer.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you guys, that was our Watcher and Dancer segment. Again, that's when we kind of discuss current events and philosophical musings from our different but complementary perspectives. Woo, we know that was a lot, but that is a good kind of like introduction into how we think and what we talk about. But we are
Mm-hmm.
gonna cut Watcher and Dancer there for now.
Yes.
And
Hopefully, we can start having sponsors between segments.
her,
Hey.
I mean, I got a little link tree in my bios. We'll do all the plugging at the end where people can find us and all that
Mm.
good stuff. But for
Mm-hmm.
now, we're gonna move into another segment called Hating and Loving. It's our take on pop culture, current events, and all the things we love or love to hate. And again,
Mm-hmm.
when we first came up with the idea for this show, I was trying to like find quotes about sisters, and I found this one. Sisters are reliably good for two things: hating and loving. And I thought that shit was so funny, but it also made me think of the fact that there are some things that I love, there are some things that I hate, there are some things that I love to hate, and there's some things that I hate to love.
A lot of things I hate,
And
love to hate though. Hating sometimes. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. Sometimes it can be fun. It can be lucrative, as we have been shown.
period.
Hating, haters, haters, haters are coming up.
You ever heard that song? I love the way it feels to be a hater. Something so
Never heard of
sweet
that.
about thinking that I'm
Sometimes
better. That shit, it was going around
that's
on TikTok a little while ago. That shit was hilarious. It's a black
that's
group.
actually facts
Their
though.
name is escaping me right now, but I will find it and I'll probably leave it in the description of the show. That song is
Uh
great,
huh.
but it's
I
literally
relate.
like, yeah, sometimes being a hater can be fun. Um, but yeah, so hating or loving, whatever we kind of are feeling at the moment, and I'll start. This is something that I hate to love, but only because of recent events or
Mm,
recent-ish events, right? So we're both millennials. You 85, I 88. We are 90s children,
yeah.
high school, early 2000s. We
Yep.
grew up
Hmm.
loving Harry Potter. Went to go see
Read
all
all the
of the,
books.
yeah, went to the movies to see all of the movies, even the Fantastic Beast series with one great movie and two terrible.
Yeah, I was like, that was a rough franchise.
Yeah, they started off on such a high note, but then the
They
last two were
did.
just like, um,
And you even went to Universal Studios, didn't you go? Did you go to the Harry
I
Potter thing
did. I
there?
went to
Mm,
the Wizarding World, like, yeah, but it wasn't specifically for that. Like, I got to visit it because
mm-hmm.
I was there already for like another trip. Um, but it was pretty cool. Butterbeer is cute, but pumpkin juice is that girl. Anyway, so nowadays I actually hate to love Harry Potter because the
Yeah,
creator of my beloved series, J.K. Rowling, is a raging transphobe to the point that she uses her immense wealth to lobby UK legislators
that's
to
crazy. The fact that she's
pass
going this far is wild to me.
legislation that is anti-trans. And Joanne, come to the front. Come to the front. Ma'am, if your femininity is so fragile that you have to attack the identity and the efficacy of other people,
Hmm.
that's a you problem. It's not a
Mm,
trans girly problem, right? And so part of me, I'm so conflicted because like I really want to watch the new HBO series that they have coming
yeah.
out. Like because doing one season per book allows them to put in all the details that they weren't able to put in the movies and then even
Hmm.
add new things now that the entire series is out because when they were originally making the movies when they first started filming the first movie, only the first four books were out, so they weren't able to like foreshadow certain things because the story wasn't finished yet. Now they can
Mm,
add in, all these different elements, and it could be really fun. This is a part like Harry Potter is a comfort topic for me. Like
mm.
I regularly rewatch the movies because I already own all eight movies.
Right, of course.
One of my yeah, right. It's like I'm not gonna delete them off my iTunes. Like I already own the shits. Like, um, one of my favorite YouTube channels, the Super Carlin Brothers. They do amazing like Harry Potter theories and things like that, and I love it. It's like it's something that I put on as a comfort watch, right?
Hmm.
But I don't want to put money in the pockets of this transphobic bitch. Like I just don't. I don't want to support anything that this bitch is doing because she is
Mm,
hateful. She is literally
hmm.
Dolores Umbridge.
I kind of want to know how much do you know about this whole legislation? I don't know enough about like how because I'm like it's one thing to like be uneasy about it, have questions about trans people, which again I think we were saying we're gonna have a separate time to really delve into this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I want to specifically stick on her for now and like what is this legislation she's trying to pass?
So, let me see. So the UK has issued gender recognition certificates since 2005, recognizing legal gender changes and enabling people to change documents such as birth certificates and passports. But the court decision and the UK authorities' reaction has undermined the gender recognition certificates. So basically, like it's not recognizing people's sex changes and or gender changes anymore. And so like if you are a trans woman, all of your documents will still say male, still call you by a man and things like that. um and it's according, so it's going to be according to their sex assigned at birth, contrary to their identity and appearance.
Hmm.
And that actually already started to happen under the Trump administration here. Like there were several trans people who had applied for passports in January of this year, but if they came after January 20th, if they were a trans woman, sex said male, which makes it difficult for them to travel because if you are a post-op trans girly,
Yeah.
unclockable, and you show up to the airport with a passport that says that you're a male.
Yeah. Well, okay, let me ask you this. Again, remember guys, I play devil's advocate. I asked the question. Okay. Um, how would it be not would it be a disservice to their rights, their human rights, to also maybe have it labeled trans woman? Or are they not a male if they are a trans woman? Or is
So,
their biological sex not male even if they are a trans woman?
yes, their biological sex, if they're a trans woman, is still male. And if the question is what your sex is, then yes, their sex is male. But most of the time, it's about gender. And we need to
Right, which
focus on,
yeah,
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 gender and
societal
sex.
structure.
Yeah, gender is a construct. Sex is not. It's a biological fact. Although there's even gray area with that because we have intersex
There is,
people. We
there
have
is,
intersex
yeah.
people. But
Mhm,
overall, the vast majority of us fall into that binary of male and female.
mhm, mhm.
So if we're talking about going to the doctor, yes, you need to tell them your sex as well as your gender. Your gender for
Yeah.
them to address you correctly, but your sex for them to treat you correctly. Because
That's
if you
my thought
have,
too. Because your hormones could affect certain treatment or medications, things like that. You know,
right,
you
if
have to
you're a
know if
bi
you are a woman taking hormones or if you're biologically a woman with other kind of hormones. Like,
exactly, exactly,
mhm,
or the vice versa. Because a lot of times, and we talked about this too, a lot of the
mhm,
conversation is always surrounding trans women, like trans men don't exist. So it's like,
right,
what about trans men who still get a period? Like they need to go to a
right.
gynecologist, and it shouldn't be weird that a nigga sitting there with a full face beard is going to the gynecologist for their annual because they did a pap smear.
Yes, it shouldn't feel weird if we continue to give trans people not exposure, what's the word I'm looking for, where they are more giving them recognition of
Yeah, exposure, like
you know yeah,
they're more visible
but
and
but
it's
yeah, visibility,
normalized.
it's
Yeah.
normalized. You're right, it should feel normal after so much of that. But again, playing devil's advocate, I think the problem has been, and maybe what her problem is the sort of like immediate expectation of it should just feel normal to you. Get over it. Because I ain't going front. If I go to the gynecologist, it's supposed to be a doctor that treats biological women, and I start seeing people with a bunch of like full beards that look like men. At first, I might be like, that shit ain't normal. It does look unnormal. Like I think there is something to be said about no, that there is no grace being given. And like I was talking about earlier about the pendulum, right? It swung so much to the left on this particular issue that I think that's what started the fire, ignited a fire under certain people to join an ideology that they probably don't fully agree with, but they felt so bullied in this particular subject matter that it's almost like they're just responding viscerally, like they're responding out of emotion of feeling bullied into like you need to just accept that that's what it is and be okay with it and it's normal. It's like it the fuck isn't. Like let's be honest, it isn't. to go to the gynecologist and see people that look like men.
As of now, I completely agree. I get
As
where
of
you're
now,
coming from.
right?
Yes. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier about there being binaries, right? There's some people who, because they are either trans or they are trans allies, they're like, well, it's black and white. Like, it's simple. Like, trans women are women and trans men are men. And although that is true, there are still people on the other side of it who have not are not used to this idea. And so when there are
Trans
people
person.
who don't give them grace or the opportunity to grow and learn, then a lot of the times people dig their heels in and they just cling to how they feel because a lot of the times people's emotions dictate their beliefs and their facts more than actual like empirical evidence. And so you'll have people on like myself who's a trans ally who are just like, these are the facts. Trans people exist. There's science behind the fact that trans women, their brain activity mimics that of biological women and vice versa with trans men. And like, other than their physical appearance, they are as much of a woman, not biologically,
Or
but
sometimes it's
socially.
because these hoes be out here. I be like, y'all serving more than I could, and
Period. They're serving,
I got
some
an
of them
organic
serving
pussy.
fish.
This
They're serving fish.
because like the way I'm not
Okay?
about to pump in these streets, like
Period. But you know what I mean? Like,
listen.
there's some people who are just
Mm-hmm.
like, well, it makes sense. This is what it is. These are the facts.
Mm.
But then you have some people who are more egocentric. And what I mean
Yeah.
by that is like their how they feel and what they believe is more forward than like being um information based or being logic centric,
Right.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if you approach them um with this attitude of like, well, you just need to admit that this is this, that, and the other, quite often what's going to happen is people are just going to double down as opposed to being
Yeah.
willing to listen to you. This is why I appreciate people like Alok so
Mm.
fucking much. They are one of the most
A
beautiful
beautiful
human
human.
beings
A beautiful
I
human.
have ever had the
Yeah.
opportunity to be made aware of. The way they speak is
Mm-hmm.
they speak in poetry to me.
They really
Like,
do.
they are so fucking beautiful and they
And
are so important.
I love seeing people like Alok because one, they're unapologetically hairy. And I bring that up because as a woman, as a woman constructually and also biologically a female, I feel a way when a bitch gotta always be ripping hair out my body to be, I don't know, accepted as beautiful somehow. Like that shit's fucking annoying. It's annoying. I mean, I just hate it. I just want the hair to grow. I'm not even like a super hairy chick, but like, kinda, like, but even like it's one thing for me to like I'm getting my eyebrows done is annoying, but I get it. It does really make your face look better. But and I get the chin, all that stuff. It's so annoying, but I will do my face. But there are times where I'm like, y'all niggas need to chill out with the armpit hair or the other hairs, other places. Like, what do you want to fuck a baby? Like, what are we doing?
Clock it. Because that's what I was about to say. That's where it comes back to. It comes back to like, these like, again, everything goes back to white supremacy, but we're in
It
hating
really
and
does.
loving right now. We're not in
Yeah,
Washington,
yeah, right,
D.C.
right, right.
But
You
like,
right, you right.
yes, Alok is so important because they are gender non-conforming. Like, they are feminine and masculine at the same time. Like, they wear makeup and dresses and beautiful colors and paint their nails, but then they have the hairiest chest I've ever seen and a full luscious beard. They probably put oils in that shit and everything, right?
And everything.
Like, I mean, Alok be
That ass.
tea, period. They are
Right,
so important because they challenge everything that we've been conditioned to believe about gender and gender presentation
right.
and how gender is a construct. Sex is not, it's a biological function. Like, period.
Yeah,
Your sex and your gender are two completely separate things. And that is the
I agree.
conversation that a lot of people are having difficulty having because, and I remember we talked about this when, like, because I think you said something like when you hear that trans, like not anymore, but like at first when you were hearing people say, "Well, trans women are women," it made you feel some kind of way. It made you feel like they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to say that they were the same as a biological female. But after we talked, I was telling you that like no, they're saying that trans women are women because woman is not a biological distinction. Female is,
Mm-hmm.
but woman isn't.
Right.
Woman is a construct. It's also a
Mm-hmm.
state of being. And like you can live in your femininity and identify more so with your femininity than your masculinity, and that
Right.
would make you feel like a woman as opposed to a man, even if you don't necessarily 100% present in the way that society has deemed. Because we've been talking about this. I'm a woman. I know I'm a woman. I'm not non-binary. I actually get offended if somebody calls me a man. Like if somebody says he, I'd be like, ugh, don't say that. Like I
That's
get
wild.
viscerally upset. Like I'm like, don't do that. Don't do
Wait, because that's hilarious. I put up a story where it was this chick
that.
and
She's
she
a
looked
transphobe. I don't know how
she
much I love
yeah,
it.
I know. Well, yeah, that's a whole other topic. But just this particular post was funny to me because she put this stories up where this lady, the woman, she was a woman, but she looked very butch, like very butch, almost like she. And so the video was her being like, "Oh my god," like my aunt or somebody was like asking me if I'm transitioning, and she was like, "Do I look like I'm?" And then she put the camera all far back, like to show her whole outfit in a whole pantsuit, bitch, like giving very
Hillary Clinton, very very
Given
Hillary
that,
Clinton on
like
the campaign
given
trail.
very like, bitch, are you not self aware? Yes, we might have questions. You get short hair, like this, like
It's very
like
Ellen
girl,
DeGeneres dancing down them steps.
it was very that. So like, but to your point, like she looks a certain way to us, but she's like, what you mean, like? Cause to her, she feels like a woman. She feels like a woman Shania Twain out here, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um, but to us it looks a different way, and so it's like, yeah, I think but to your point, it is again something that we have to give grace to people for, because yes, and it's important to make that distinction, because as a biological woman or biological female that presents as a woman, cis female, like the feminine in general has always been squelched. It's always been silenced. And I can understand, particularly with white women, because their thing is the feminist movement, even though and it don't really apply to black women. That's another conversation.
Mhm.
But they dig their heels into their feminist movement. And so for it probably, I can understand how going around saying that biologically born males are now women. It's like, well, fuck. You know what I mean? Now I gotta use my feminist energy to now basically support men. It's kind of where they're thinking. It's kind of where the thinking is, you know.
And I get
Part of it.
that, but that's because they're not separating sex from gender. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, by having trans women like as part of our
Of that,
movement, they
right?
understand being marginalized in a different way, but also in a similar way. If you think
Yeah.
about it, it's like
But it's the
they're
same way
not
they don't
taking
fully put black women in the fold. It's to me it's a similar thing. The feminist movement was always really just about white cisgender
white women
women.
exactly, so white cisgender women exactly, and so you need this diversity of voices. You need trans women, you need women of color to push women forward in society. um
Yeah.
and then I know we also talked about this, like, going off, and then we'll switch over to what you're hating and loving, so that
Yeah,
we're
it'll be a lighter
monopolizing the whole
topic,
time.
guys.
Yeah, we're gonna end on a high note. I know, like this is such an interesting introduction into our conversations. They're like, damn, these
It is.
bitches be serious, but we do.
We do.
But sometimes it be
But
a key.
we kiki and joke about it too. And
Yeah.
like again, we're gonna go into a deep dive about the trans movement in general on our next episode for our dancer and
Yes.
watcher. Yeah, we're gonna, because there you had an answer to something in our convo that I was like, that is a great response. I'm gonna save it for the next. I'm gonna save it for the
Mm-hmm.
okay.
But yeah, but
But
to
yeah,
cap it all off, I just want to say, like, especially since it's Pride Month too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my leg booty cuties, the ligga bigga tigga. What is it
There's so many
that
variations of that LGBT.
ligga bigga swat? I saw something. It was lettuce, guac, bacon, and tomato.
That's my new breakfast meal for
I said,
sure. Can
period.
I get
Firstly, that
a
sounds
can I get an
delicious.
LGBT on a sourdough? Thank you.
Period. And toast it well. Thank you.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like, yeah, we'll dive a little bit further into it. But to wrap mine up, I be hating to love Harry Potter because I'm very conflicted
Mm-hmm.
because I am 100% a trans ally. Trans women are women, trans men are men,
Men
non-binary people are neither women or men. They are
or both.
non-binary, they shirk, they're both, they're neither, they're both, they're ambiguous, they're not,
They can do what the
whatever.
fuck they want. That's the thing. Like I don't. I just it as much as I might have questions sometimes, like or I've had like some feelings around it that might not have been super positive. Definitely not so much these days because again, I've had the safety of people like you. I got a real good girlfriend who is queer and she really like helps me to understand things more because she's had a personal relationship with someone who transitioned over the last few years too. And so like we even had a discussion because I was kind of telling her what we were going to talk about. She was like, "You tread lightly, girl. What you talking about?" And because I was telling her like my angle on it, and then
Uh-huh.
she was explaining to me like a close friend of hers. She walked with she walked with them. Well, they were them at the time, but now they are a she. And walking with them through all of their transition, they just completed a full transition over I think like 3 years or so.
Oh
And
wow.
she's been able. And my thing is, I'm like, but that's also a privilege that she has to have a relationship that closely with a trans person. Because even you and I, who are allies, I don't know anybody really. Like I know this person through my friends, but I don't have a very close, intimate relationship with a trans person. I just don't. I haven't had the privilege of
Yeah.
that.
I
And so
have
there
some
is,
friends, like internet friends that are trans, as
right.
well as I know someone in real life who's non-binary.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, like that's what we have to remember too, as far as giving people grace. Like, yeah, I haven't even had that privilege. But think about the people who haven't even had the privilege, and I'm calling it a privilege because it is to even be exposed really to. Because it's one thing. Let's say you're in the middle of a flyover state, and yeah, maybe you have access to the internet and you're on Instagram or whatever, but Instagram is so curated to your own taste and what you already know that you can't even say that that person would be exposed to this via social media. So
Yeah.
like the privilege of even knowing of a trans person or a non-binary person, it unfortunately is not allotted to most of America. And we
I
have to keep that
agree.
in mind, I think.
Yeah. And that's why it's important again, just to circle back, having these nuanced conversations and even playing the devil's advocate because too many times people are stuck in the binary of you should just or I can't. And it's like, well, how about we meet in the middle?
Oh, okay. Go back, because you were frozen for a second there. But go ahead.
You was frozen. But I said,
Oh,
but
well, I
that's,
was okay.
yeah, it's all right, but we're still
Yeah.
recording. I said, but that's why it's important that we have these kind of conversations with nuance because again, people are too stuck in the binary of, well, you should just know this to, well, all I know is this. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, we need to meet in the
Whoa.
middle. Yeah.
That's it right there. That's it right there. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't say what somebody should know. Like, it's like how because those same people would have a whole thing about how, certain types of public school systems don't have access to this and that. I'm like, well, these other people don't have access to this information either. So
Yeah.
it really is two sides of the same coin, and we can actually avoid a lot of the tyranny that we're in right now if everybody on both sides starts to really be more considerate of the other and think about all of the factors that go into why they might think the way they think.
Clock
Anyway,
it. Clock it.
yeah.
So yes, that was my hating and loving of the week. Lemmy, I'm gonna turn it over to you. What are you hating and loving
Hey.
or loving to hate?
Well, yours was you hate to love, but as we stated earlier, sometimes hating can be fun. Just it can
Indeed.
energize you. So I am loving to hate certain what I would consider overrated music artists, musicians. I would almost be hesitant to call some of these people musicians, but music recording artists. And now this is also something that you can contribute to as well. We did, full disclosure, we had this conversation roughly months ago.
Yeah.
And we're gonna piggyback because we think the world should hear this. The world should know how we feel about these people. Now, here's the thing. We're a podcast, and we would love to encounter anybody who's successful, famous. It's nice when you can meet these people. However, my personal feeling is that I would not care if they hear this. If these particular artists hear this
She said,
and
I
feel
don't give
away,
a hot nut
truly,
fuck.
truly don't care. I really, because my feelings about them they're so deeply ingrained that it would not be any sweat off my or any water off my back or whatever the term is, if they don't like me. So, I guess I can kick it off. I think I'm gonna start with like, I don't know. It might think people just might pop in my head randomly, but I'm gonna try to start. I'm gonna leave the Mammoth one for last. I think we would
Okay.
probably both agree on who that is too.
Okay.
we we
Intrigued.
might because I can't remember how we did it before, but I'm gonna start with the I kissed a girl and I liked it,
Katy
Miss Katy
Perry.
Perry. That bitch, I cannot understand why she's famous. Now, granted, she used to be able to sing. I'll give her that. When she first started vocally, I thought she's great. Lately, the vocals haven't really been there for me. But throughout her whole career, I never really liked any of her music. Never. Yes, she had this weirdo, I'm like playful and fun and yeah, whatever. I don't really know. Like even the branding, I guess. But like I just never I don't really know what she stands for. Artists like her typically do lean more left and they stand for those sorts of like uh, you know, social issues, which is fine, but it also can be very like bandwagony. It's like, do you really stand for that? Like, what's the story you have to really stand for that? Like, are you just kind
Mm,
of jumping on the bandwagon at the end of the day? Or, catering to who you know is your demographic? You know what I mean? Like, oh, the gays are my demographic, so I need to verbally make it known that I support them because they put food on my table, you know?
mm-hmm.
So it's hard to know if that's the angle they're coming from or not. But all that to say, I just don't think she's talented. Um,
Ew.
Nothing about her art is impactful to me. Because my thing is like, you can be gifted. That doesn't mean you're talented. A lot of people have gifts that are given to them by God, but they don't know how to use it. Like you have to meet the unwarranted, undeserved gift you've been given has to be met with some kind of like intentional development, personally and craft wise, to me, for it to be talent.
Mm. Okay.
That's my perspective
Okay.
on it. Does it make sense?
It
Yeah.
does. It does. And I agree to an extent. I do think that she has a bop. A
Who
bop.
wrote those
I
bops?
said a bop.
One bop
Cause
you like?
it's only one song that I fucks with heavy.
Uh-huh.
I think it's called Supernatural. Kiss
Oh.
me, kiss me, and fill me with your
Oh.
love and fill me with your voice and take
I don't
me,
think it's called Supernatural, but I
take
know what you're talking
me.
about.
Yeah, that's my shit.
It,
Yeah,
it has, I think Kanye is featured on maybe the remix of that too.
we're not talking about that nigga.
Well,
I'm talking about Katy Perry right now. But yeah, no, but pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially lately, like, what is this bitch doing? Did you see the clip from her most recent tour where she looked like she was malfunctioning on stage? Like,
glitching out like a whole android or some
Yeah,
shit
like
or a
bitch, you
fucking
went into
reptile
outer
bitch.
space for like 2 seconds and you came back and you think you a fucking alien. Go
It's
away.
crazy. It's I just yeah. It's just she's just very gimmicky. Like and it doesn't feel authentic too. Because like
Hmm.
unlike a Gaga who is not on this list. And granted, Gaga, I don't even like all her music per se. I've never listened to a straight whole album of hers and liked every song. But there's an authenticity to her
Yeah,
that I don't get from Katie. So
yeah, I
you
agree.
know that's just my thing.
Hmm.
Um, but it's funny because Katy Perry. I don't know if people know her history, but she came from like the Christian contemporary world. Like she was like playing acoustic guitar, singing about Jesus, and the next thing you know, she kissing bitches.
Right. The
It's like,
taste
what are
of
we
her cherry
doing?
chapstick. Where was that on Sunday school? Like,
That I and no, and listen, I'm the last one to say you need to stay in a religious thing or whatever like that. I get it. But I almost feel like, can some of the music represent that journey? Is there any body of work that she has that she talks about that journey, like
right.
something authentic, you know?
You know the first thing that
So,
just came to mind when you said that?
hmm,
Church Girl on Renaissance.
exactly, yeah. It's like, because I mean that's the thing with Beyonce. That's what made me actually become more of a fan of hers. Because for a while I did not really like Miss B. Sorry, y'all. I know there's a hive out there. I'm not really a hiver. I do appreciate the queen. And I will give her that. Like honestly, she's to me. I know a lot of people try like want to get the oh they're the protege to Michael Jackson and all these comparisons. But honestly, she's to me the next in line. She if he's king, she is queen of pop. At this point, she's shown us
Agreed.
that she can do everything, like, and with excellence. So I'm just saying, and then
Agreed.
I would say Bruno Mars after him because he don't get enough
Hold
credit
on.
either.
You
Anyway,
see what t-shirt I'm wearing, right?
I mean, and I was peeping it. Yeah, honestly, I'm like, it goes MJ, Prince, Beyonce, and then anyone else after that. So, but again, I will say Bruno Mars again underrated. So but yeah, I'm just like, there's nothing. I have not come across a body of work, a song, an album, a visual, anything from Katy Perry that really feels like she has. Because not everything has to be this. Don't get me wrong. Like some albums are just going to be fun. Some albums you're introducing your general branding or something. I'm like, she's been in the game so long that like, where is that album? Where is that project where it feels a little more introspective? There's some depth. There's some like something. I just haven't. I don't see it. So
Yeah.
that's my first one. Who would you say?
So I would, and I know some people are gonna get highly offended, but I don't really care because this is my opinion. I would have to say Miss Chloe Bailey. Now, hear
Oof.
me out. She is stunning. She is gorgeous. She can sing her ass off. Ask Cat her
Mm-hmm.
sister. And I even like that song. Why keep flossing like I do? Why keep flossing
She's
like
cute.
I do? That's cute,
She's cute.
right? But kind of in the same vein of what you were talking about when it comes to Katy Perry, it makes me think about Chloe Bailey and like her image, especially now that like her and her sister have branched off and they're not Chloe and Halle, they're like doing their own separate thing. I
Mm-hmm.
really feel like Chloe's image is like too highly curated and she seems
Mm.
very like inauthentic. Like I don't really
Mm-hmm.
know who she is. Like
Mm-hmm.
even Hallie with her leaning more into being a an actress
Actress.
and like a
Mm-hmm.
musical actress where she gets to combine her theatrics with that beautiful voice that she has. That gives me more of an idea of who Hallie is.
Yeah.
Whereas with Chloe, I just feel like it seems like her branding a lot of the times is like she's the next Beyonce or like she's the next but it's like nothing that she's put out gives that. You know what I mean? Like it's like
I
again, I
agree.
will never deny her talent. That bitch can
Hmm.
sing. She can dance. She be putting on a little
She
show.
be
I liked her
performing. She
before.
be giving you the energy. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Exactly. But like I would not rate her as like up there in performers. Like even if somebody
Right.
gave me a free ticket to like her show, unless I had nothing else going on and it was like super convenient to go, I probably would be
Hmm.
like, I'm good. I don't need
I'm
to see
good.
Chloe Bailey like performing. Like
Yeah.
whereas whereas Beyonce, you saw not only did I buy the tickets, but like I
But the
basically was like, I
t-shirt.
bought the t-shirts again, see what I wear. Like look, I wanted to go to London to see this bitch perform Cowboy Carter.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I don't get the hype or what people are trying to hype up. It's like let
Hmm.
your work speak for itself and carve out your own lane. Don't try to like step in the footsteps of somebody else because like going back to Beyonce, right? A lot of times they have this whole conversation about like who's the next MJ, blah blah blah. The reason why I could confidently say that Beyonce is the MJ of our time is
Hmm.
because she carved her own lane. Nobody can
Hmm.
say that Beyonce is trying to be like somebody else.
Right.
Like she
Right.
she reinvents herself with every album. She has eras with every album. And she
Truly.
puts out bodies of work that are intentional
Hmm.
and
That part. That
um
part.
and are irreverent. Like to me, like to at this point still to this day, Renaissance is just
Yeah.
that girl.
It's
Like
it's
you can't pry that from my cold dead hands. Like if all the
yeah.
music in the world went away and I could only keep one album, it would be Renaissance.
I would have to agree. I mean, and she started fucking with me when she dropped the self titled album. That's when I
Oh
realized
yeah.
something was different. Something
Oh,
was different.
absolutely, absolutely. And then
Hmm.
Formation or Lemonade, I would say, but
Oh
Formation
yeah.
was the thing that
Hmm.
sealed the deal for me.
Facts.
But Renaissance as an album,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you know how I feel about
Crazy.
Plastic on the Van. It's not my favorite song. I know it's Plastic off the Sofa, but I like to say Plastic on the Van. Um, you know how I feel about that. It's just a little too lovey dovey for me. But if we
But I
get
still
to
fuck with
it,
it. It's a bop.
I could listen to that album straight through with no skips. Even like Thick.
Agreed.
Sometimes I'm in the mood for Thick,
Mm.
sometimes I'm not. But those are the only two that I'm like on the fence about. The rest of the album I can listen to
I
just like
can't unlisten.
straight. Exactly, just like straight through, like
That
period,
ass.
right? And
It's
like to
crack.
get back to it's yeah, it's that creamy crack, I swear. Um but
Uh,
yeah, it's like I can't think of anything like that when it comes to Chloe Bailey. I haven't seen or
yeah.
heard anything from her that makes me like, yeah,
Hmm.
she's out here. She's the next pop girly. She has all the ingredients, but I just don't feel like it's been like put to use. Because even somebody like Rihanna, right? She can't really sing like that.
And the
Let's
bitch
keep it a
don't dance
buck.
either, really. Let's
And
be
she don't
honest.
really dance like
She's,
that, but that
she's
bitch is
so
iconic.
I got it.
I want to be her friend. I want to be Rihanna friend so bad. Like
I mean, now
that's my
let's be
friend in
honest.
my heart.
Her looks help. She is a beautiful. She's gorgeous. I mean,
Yes, but
hands
so
down,
is
there's
Chloe Bailey. That's
undeniably
what I'm saying. Like she has those ingredients.
not but she not no Rihanna. Rihanna is there's something about Rihanna's look that's exceptionally beautiful.
We talking about
Like,
that
cause
light eyes.
it's something. It's just something about her bone structure. Something about her is just even more like specifically beautiful to her. I don't know. I can't put it in words because there are people like that. Like there are a lot of very beautiful women, but you come across certain women that have just distinct features.
This
It's
je
like
ne
their
sais
beauty.
quoi.
It's something. It's something they got. It's just like. But I think also to your point, it is an aura that
I was
Rihanna
about to
has.
say, I think it's more so the aura because I do think that Chloe Bailey is beautiful. Like you just look at her, she's gorgeous. She got body too. Like, and again,
Mm-hmm.
her voice is undeniable. Like she can out sing Rihanna without even trying.
Mm.
But Rihanna got that fucking vibe where it's just like you
I mean,
need
and
like
even
she just
down to
that
like
bitch.
her last album has carried for like almost 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because let's be honest, Rihanna was a bit of a machine artist, like industry machine artist. She had an album every fucking year. I couldn't tell if she wrote a word in any of those songs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they were definitely pushing her as just a brand or just a product, really. Um, Despite all of her aura and je ne sais quoi. But what really I think what stamped her for real is what that last album felt very personal. And that's why we've been living off of it for this long. And like, yes, she's
Yeah.
giving us Fenty and she's still, showing up to Met Galas and being pregnant every other year and whatever, all the things that keep you relevant. And doing like how you get a Super Bowl halftime show and you ain't had an album out at that point for like
Cause
eight,
she
7, 8 years.
is that bitch. I love
It's
Rihanna. I'm
insane.
not gonna lie. Like I've been to her concert too. Like I drove all the way out to Hershey Park to go to that bitch concert.
Feel it.
But again, like going back to my loving to hate type of thing. Chloe Bailey does not have any of the like intangibles. Like she has all of the
Yeah.
ingredients, but it has not like and it goes back to like what you were saying, like you can have a gift but not necessarily the talent or the drive or even the like putting together of the ingredients, because it's like okay, and again
It's just
followed by
something, it's
ADHD
one
brain,
thing missing. One thing
followed by
missing.
ADHD brain, right?
Okay.
A chocolate chip cookie and a blondie, which is like a
Mm-hmm.
blonde brownie or whatever, have the
Right.
same ingredients but in different proportions and come out completely different. Right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's like yeah, so it's like one is a chocolate chip cookie. It's
Mm-hmm.
classic, most people like it, but it's not usually to write home about. That be Chloe
Yeah.
Bailey.
Ah,
Rihanna is a blondie, where it's like,
you're right.
bitch, like, oh, this shit hit. Like, I
Mm.
never had this before. Is this a
And you're
blonde
not
brownie?
tasting
Like,
no different ingredients from the cookie,
right. But it's
but it's
just
just
how
how
it's
it's
put
put together.
together.
Damn.
Exactly. And I feel
Yeah.
like you could even have a chocolate chip cookie that's made with like all organic ingredients and da 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 da. But you got this
Mm.
regular ass blondie that's just like something about it is like, because again, Rihanna, it's not that she can't sing, but she can't sing as good as Chloe Bailey. Chloe Bailey got pipes.
And she can't dance like Chloe
She
Bailey be
surely
full out on the
can.
floor and everything. But like I think some of it is like let's just even take the fashion. Like Rihanna just be looking better too. Like sometimes I'd be like, Chloe, what are you wearing? Who
Yeah.
dressed you?
It's a
You
aura. It's a whole
know,
Rihanna has the
it's
whole
the whole package.
package. Yeah.
Yeah,
To where
yeah,
like
and I
just who she is can supersede the areas where she's not as strong, like the singing and dancing, even though that's what made her famous, which is crazy to me.
makes you really put that in perspective. Like when you do have artists that are super successful and they can sing and dance, but it really does matter your publicist and like the brand, the machine behind you to really make that thing. Because otherwise, who cares? Yeah, you can sing and dance, but if you don't put it in the right packaging, it just no one's going to care. Like go sing
Yeah.
at church. Go.
Wow.
That's what it ends up being.
You're not lying though. And that like again, I guess we all roads lead back to Beyonce. But I think her being so inaccessible for so long
Mm,
and the intention behind everything that she puts out
yes.
is also what puts her over the top, because Beyonce can sing her ass off. She is a student of her craft. But
Yeah.
she's also not the most singing bitch out there. Tori Kelly,
No.
anybody?
A
Tori
lot of people
Kelly,
can out
anybody?
sing. Yeah.
Tori Kelly, anybody?
Mm.
That's a
She,
singing
yeah.
ass bitch.
Yeah.
Okay? and she don't get nearly enough of the recognition or clout. She's also
Mm,
beautiful. I don't know if she can dance or
very
not,
gorgeous.
but
I doubt it,
Adele
but she
don't be
does write and
dancing.
sing. She
Exactly,
does
Adele
write
don't
her own
dance.
and play her own instruments. So there's that.
Exactly, and Adele don't dance, but she just be out here singing.
She
So you don't
stands
have
at the
to.
mic
Exactly, with no shoes on. She kicked them heels right off. She gonna
in a
stand with no
ball
shoes on.
gown, in a ball
Period.
gown, bitch. But but
Period.
again, that's a brand. That's a brand. Like there's an authenticity there, even with Adele being like, no, I don't dance, bitch. Even Mariah don't dance either, bitch. She gets
She
carried
barely
on and off
move.
stage.
She be right there with
And
it,
that is
like.
the brand, and we fuck with it. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I just think she needs to figure out who she is. I wonder between the two of them, who's older? Is it
Chloe.
Hallie?
It's
Chloe's
Chloe.
the older one.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. Like, yeah, she's gotta figure that out for herself. Like, it's interesting, and it's like they were so much more dynamic. She was more dynamic with her sister, and it's not even that her sister isn't dynamic, but she's chosen to be very distinct from what they
Mm-hmm.
started as, which gives you the sense that she has more of a sense of herself in
Exactly.
order to deviate. So yeah, I agree. I have to agree with that one. Okay, how many should we do? Like three each? I forget how many we did before.
Girl, I don't even know. Like that was my biggest one, honestly, was
That
Chloe
was
Bailey.
it.
But I have one other one, but I don't know if we share this one. I'm gonna let you go next again.
Wait, okay, because I remember I can't remember if you said this because I feel the same way. So okay, my next person is going to be Jason Derulo.
I know
Um,
that was all you, but I agree.
I don't even think this is going to be a long conversation on him because I think the proof is in the pudding. I can't tell you one song of his, not one, not one. Every time I see him anywhere performing, I don't care for the song. I don't care for the dance, whatever routine he don't. It's all trash. It's all hot garbage every time. That's all I got. I don't really have any. He's just the like store brand of any other like R&B artist. Like he's like, oh, it's like store brand Chris Brown or it's like store brand Neo. That's what he gives to me.
Not even Chris Brown, like, because at least
Not
you can.
even
I'm
though.
sure right now on the top of your head you can name at least three Chris Brown songs, and
More than
and
that.
they might even be 10-year-old songs. Like,
Exactly. Bops from like high school and shit.
any
Like
man
or college.
on the floor.
I mean, I would go to a Chris Brown show. I would go to a concert, even though I haven't been into his music as much lately because he has like 45 songs on the album that all sound the same. But I know I'm gonna get real like dope production, stage presence. He gonna do some backflips for a bitch. Like, he gonna give you some vocalization. That's even though like sometimes I'll be like, can Chris Brown sing? I just feel, I be having my questions about Chris Brown, and he is problematic. However, as an artist, way better catalog of music, way better stage presence and like his. Even if you go back and see his performances on like different award shows and stuff like that, like they be fire. They be having like curated concepts and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Derulo, I mean, he's not even attractive to me. I
You
just don't
said
get
he
it.
ugly and untalented. God
I didn't,
damn.
I didn't say he was ugly. I just don't think he's attractive. I don't see it. I don't see the sex appeal or anything. That's just me. That's just me. But
It's
yeah, he's
also
someone
me. I agree. At least we're two peas in a bottle.
yeah, I honestly just miss me with Jason Derulo. Like anywhere, just I'm good. I don't really have much to say about him. That's really all I got. I'm not gonna dissect or analyze it. He just ain't. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I'm confused.
Yeah.
But
Anybody
yeah.
that gotta continuously shout their own name on their songs is a problem. But yeah, I agree. No notes.
Yep. No, no.
Um,
Leaving that there. Okay, who is your
so
second person?
my second person, and again, I feel like I'm gonna get chewed up by some people, but again, nary a fuck given because this is my opinion and this is my podcast with my big sisters. So I'm gonna say
That
what
is
I say.
true.
My next overrated, or I just don't understand their hype is SZA.
Okay, I was with you on that one too. I think I did agree with you on this. I did. And listen, she got that song Snooze, and I can't agree more.
I honestly, I can't think off the top of my head
Oh.
any of her songs. When I think of her, I just think of her as being somebody who's famous. I don't think of her for her music.
Yeah. Like I actually, so you know how people always be recording the concerts and shit, right? Putting on YouTube. So I did watch. I started watching the GNX tour, and I tried so hard. When she came on stage, I was trying so hard to enjoy her presence, and I just did not care enough. And I was like, let me fast. I had to fast. I was like, when does Kendrick come back? So
Yeah.
and like my thing with her is like, because I'm even trying to hear the vocal talent. Like, yes, she can carry a tune. She got some cute little runs, and she sings. She does that like whispery, that the new R&B girls do.
What is one of
And
her songs? I can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
yeah, that's something.
What is that?
It's like that's like all her songs be sounding like how
Oh yeah,
Drake stuff be
your
sounding
man
lately.
is my man
Yeah,
and my
yeah,
man. Like, okay,
yeah.
yeah, and you love being a side bitch, and you like the
It's
side bitch like
crazy.
mascot. I
I don't
can't get down
subscribe.
with that. Yeah, exactly. Unsubscribe. Like, I just don't fuck with it. Like,
And again, this is people that we like we're loving to hate them because it seems like everybody loves them. And I just it's like because there's a lot of artists out there that are trash, but they don't. But everyone agrees that they're trash. You know what I mean? Or like they're not as popular as these particular artists, and we're just confused as to how these people made it through the cracks. Is
right.
really
Like,
what
we're
it
not
is.
talking about Rebecca Black or whatever with the
Right.
Friday song or whatever. We're talking about people who, like, have huge followings and continue to get booked for shit. And it's like, you know what? Oh my god, I swear this is a little bit of a tangent, but that just made me think of this bitch I follow on TikTok and Threads. She got a whole vendetta against J Lo. She don't
Oh,
make a
listen.
single video without J Lo catching a stray. And you know what? Like, part of me gets it, at least when it comes to her as a musical artist. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Now the thing is,
she's not on this
J.
list.
No, that right exactly because we get that she can't sing. We know J Lo can't sing, but like she's had really better music than some people that we just mentioned, like Hit. Um,
I bought One
and
to Six. That was actually a
yeah,
good album.
I bought the J Lo album. I want to say too. I like that album. Yeah, I mean she has her issues, especially recently. We all see through the cracks with her now. But you know the
Mm-hmm.
one thing you can't do, like she just hosted the AMAs and she did his opening number, you know, in another sequence see through cat suit. But she did dance down though. The bitch she can perform, she can act. She just really can't sing. That's what she just can't sing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's a little delusional about how talented she is. But
Right.
but outside of that, but she's worked her way through the industry. Like she's put in her work and she did create a brand around herself that's like identifiable and you know
Right.
all the things that they you know we say go into it outside of raw talent.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, SZA for me, like and now I will say I do appreciate her branding
What is her branding?
her demographic is. Like she attracts the demographic that she attracts. Like it is very clear. So I'll give her that. Like she has a clear aesthetic, like sound wise, visually. She's been very consistent. So that could be again, that could be a big part of what makes her so popular. Is that is just the consistency and the clarity of intention and brand.
Mm-hmm. But
You know,
that's what I'm saying. I'm
and
like, other than
alignment too,
being a,
aligning yourself with people like Kendrick.
I'm
That's a
about to say,
biggie.
yeah,
That's a biggie.
yeah. But even still, it's like if she wasn't on the DNX tour, like, 'Cause she
Her
stayed on
collabs
her
are
own.
the most I know about her. It's the songs she does with other people.
Right. Like SZA on a hook, yeah, but when her
Yeah,
songs by themselves, no.
can't get into it. And the kids really be trying to get me to understand. They be like, "Let me play this song," and I be like, "That sounded like the one you just played."
Right. Like we're good on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Love you, Scissor. Wouldn't mind being in my girl circle of friends that I'm gonna have. But we gotta work. We gotta have some bops. I can't.
Right.
We gotta have some bops. Okay. And let's do one more that I think it will be a collective. Oh, we think this person's overrated. And
All right.
I feel
I'm
like
gonna let you have it.
wait. I feel like I'm gonna count it. Let's count from three down to one and see if we say the same person. This is like the like huge fish of overrated artists.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Three.
count them.
Okay, you count down.
Okay, wait. Okay. Three, two, one.
Lionel Richie.
Taylor Swift.
Oh shit! I thought you was gonna go with Lionel Richie, bitch.
No, but he is on my list too. I forgot
But
about him.
who? Yeah, actually, you know what? Yes, I only did Lionel Richie because I know we talked about it, and you had a whole
He can be an
spiel.
honorable mention. He can be an honorable mention.
He was honorable mention,
Um,
but yes, I agree. T Swift. Oh Lord, I'm gonna let you start. I'm gonna let you start.
Jesus, Jesus. It's just where do we begin? She
Mm.
is the height of white woman mediocrity. Um, now,
There's a lot.
granted, I ain't gonna hold you. I listened to this podcast. They haven't done a consistent series in a while, but I listened to this podcast called Narcissistas. Right, I love it. It's this like gay guy and it's a white girl that's like a comedian, and they're like total beehivers. So like for like 2 or 3 years, they didn't do any episodes, and then when she came out with Renaissance, all of a sudden they were like, we must,
Of
like we
course,
need to put
like
episode out, and like so yeah, they do now. They just drop stuff whenever she drops something, but they had this series where it was called This Bitch, and they would just like go through the whole background of different divas. Like they did one on Mariah, they did one on they're saving Beyonce for like their last episode or some shit. Ridiculous, but they do all the girlies. They even did like Pink. They didn't do Pink. They did they do Rihanna? I think they did Rihanna. It's they go through all the divas and stuff. So one time they did Taylor Swift. And mind you, they're not like they're not Swifties by any means, but they were just doing all the girlies. Um, and listening to their This Bitch Taylor Swift series, I was like, okay, I'm kind of intrigued. Like maybe the way they were dissecting it and analyzing, I was like, okay, maybe. And then like I do fuck with some of her early stuff. Like the Red album has a couple of bops that I like. And also I think her Reputation album has like a couple of bops that are pretty good too. But I just feel like again, this list for me at least is not saying that all these people have absolutely no talent or no songs that are cool or not or whatever. It's just the reception of them to me is just it doesn't equate to what they actually produce.
right,
That's my thing with Taylor Swift. Like I'm not saying that she doesn't have good songs or even good albums, but it's like the overwhelming popularity that she's garnered. I just
makes no
it
fucking
doesn't
sense
make
at
any
all.
sense.
Yeah,
She's not even that cute for a white girl. I'm just like,
where's the line? That's what I'm saying. Like you hit the nail on the head when you said she is the height of white mediocrity. It's because so many white women can project themselves onto her because she has average looks and average talent. Like her
yeah,
songs, there's not a single song that I've heard that has like full depth. Like she's nailed down
mm,
her brand.
yeah.
Um but that brand is the girl who is perpetually making breakup songs. Like for real, like every album is like full of like being heartbroken. Like she doesn't have like and it's not like lemonade quality. Like,
Not at
like
all.
it's very much she is my age. She's like a year younger than me. So she's
Mm.
35, maybe 36. I don't know when her birthday is.
Yeah, she was born 89. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's a year younger than me. Um, but she still makes music for like
For teeny boppers.
16-year-old girls.
Right, right,
So
right.
like her music has not evolved at all.
Hmm.
And that like and that feeds into this narrative of the infantilization of white women as well,
Mm.
where it's like, oh, they're just these helpless, weak little like damsels in distress.
Right.
She's like perpetually heartbroken and like da 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 da. When the crazy thing is, like, and I know that I'm not the first person to say this. Somebody said this before, and I can't remember who it was, but it was like if a black woman ran through as many boyfriends as Taylor Swift did, they would
Oh
be
my
calling
God.
her all kinds of whores and sluts and
Hmm.
everything. But like this bitch drops a new album for every nigga she break up with, and it's album of the year every fucking year at the Grammys. Meanwhile,
Right.
Beyonce just finally won a album of the year, even though Renaissance. I'm sorry, like I'm gonna keep going back to Renaissance because that is a work of fucking
That was the
art.
one. That was the one she should have won for.
She should have won for
Honestly,
that over Cowboy Carter. Cowboy
I
Carter,
agree.
you know, I have a new
I like
respect for it
it.
because I think I told you,
Yeah.
yeah, like when I first listened to it, I was like, and there's some songs on there that are absolute bops that are on my playlist. But overall, Cowboy Carter is
Hmm.
not my favorite. It doesn't speak to me in the same way as Renaissance. Like Renaissance is
Hmm.
my shit. Period.
But I will.
Right?
What I
Even
will give
Lemonade
Cowboy
and Self
Carter is
Titled.
the conversation it started. Well, that's one thing I will
Yes.
give, and how she
Yes.
has opened the door for current Black country artists to
Right.
make waves. Like so, I'll give that album that as far as its impact. But you're right. I
Yes.
mean, Renaissance. Once you put that first track on, it's
These
done. Like
motherfuckers ain't stopping me. These
this album
motherfuckers
is
ain't stopping
rocking.
me. Period.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree. Crazy.
Anyway, but like, yeah, and
Hmm.
then yeah, I'm just like with Taylor Swift, she's just like she is the height of white female mediocrity. She's not ugly, but she's not gorgeous. She is it's not
Right.
that
She
she
can't
can't
dance.
sing. She can't dance. That is a can't. It's not
That
that
is
she
a can't.
can't sing, but her voice is very average.
It's
Everything she does is
average.
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 Her fashion is average. Her acting is average, maybe a little below average.
When did she
Um,
act? She acted
uh,
something?
I've seen two things that she's acted in, and I was just like, we could have done without it. That movie,
Oh.
Valentine's Day, which was
What?
like
Like a
a
horror?
ensemble. No. It was like an ensemble. It had like Bradley Cooper and Taylor Lautner.
Oh.
It was like
Okay.
one of those type things. But the other one that
Mm-hmm.
like she fucked up for me, and she only had like a small role, but still, like this is a book that I love that got adapted into a movie, The Giver. She had like
Mm.
a small role in that, and I was like, we didn't need this. I read The Giver
Honestly,
like four
though.
times. I love that book. It's such a good fucking book, and the movie wasn't
Mm.
bad at all. Like I've watched the movie a couple of
Mm.
times. It wasn't the best. Like the book is still better than the movie, but it wasn't bad. I liked it. It's just that the same thing kind of like with Harry Potter where it's like it's a movie so they cut out a lot of the details that if you read the book or even with the Hunger Games. I read the Hunger Games series before the movies came out and there were some things that I wish would have made it into the movies, but you understand that not everything can like make it into the movies type thing.
Oh, wait.
But it,
Okay. Okay, you had
yeah.
broken up a little bit there. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you good
okay.
now.
Yeah, but like anyway, I was just saying like she was not needed in The Giver. Like she wasn't.
Surprised this movie because I don't remember her in it.
You saw The Giver?
I did. Don't it have Meryl Streep in it? And
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't
she
remember that
had a
bitch.
very small exactly. She had a very small role as the girl who played the last person who was assigned the receiver of memory before Jonas. And like,
Um,
yeah, she asked to be released because after she started getting memory, she couldn't take it or not.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Again, not I'm not saying she shouldn't be successful, but it's just the level of success. I'm like they put her up there with people who are just better. I just don't get even her songwriting. It's like sure, I don't like she doesn't play instruments all that amazingly. I just don't get it.
Like
It's so many other people that are
she
more
is the
talented than
height of white
her.
mediocrity because we've talked about this before. The fact that they constantly put Taylor Swift and Beyonce
Oh
in
God,
like comparisons doesn't make sense to me
at
because
all, at all.
Beyonce objectively is more beautiful than her, can dance better
Damn.
than her, can sing better than her, can dress better than her. The only thing that they may be equal on is the acting. Cause like
I
Beyonce, she can do
agree.
a lot of things,
Yeah,
but she's never
sweetie,
winning an
no.
Oscar.
I mean, and not
Um,
for acting at least. If she wins an Oscar for anything, it might feel like for best song or some shit.
right. She's like, yeah, exactly. But
Mm,
yeah, like if you
wow,
just look at it objectively without being racist, Beyonce has a lot more to offer.
she
That bitch
does.
can
She honestly
dance
does.
she can dance, she can sing, she's a better writer. Her albums and her bodies of work have more attention. Even her
Her
side
stage
projects,
performances.
even
Oh
her
my
side
god.
projects, when you think about her side projects, like
Yeah.
Sacred, for example, her
Mm,
mother she grew up with a mother who's a hairdresser who has an intense love for
yeah.
hair care and knowledge of hair care. So she didn't
Yep.
just jump into it because she knew she could throw her name on something and it would sell. She did
Right.
it be with
Right.
intention. Or even Sir Davis, her whiskey.
Mm-hmm. It all has meaning, and that's what I mean.
Right.
That's the thing with Taylor. With Taylor Swift, it's like not the only meaning she has is that she be fucking niggas and then dumping them, or they dump her. That's the only
Right.
thing she ever can talk about. I'm like, girl, what the fuck? Like,
Because she didn't come from any, like, she was affluent growing up. You
but so was
know,
Beyonce. Let's be honest. Beyonce was affluent too. She does not have the poor black girl narrative. But
that's
again,
true.
it's
That's
just
true.
again it just comes back to like our connection to ancestry. Like that's one thing that Beyonce has. She's very much connected to her ancestors, her Creole heritage. And so like the
Texas.
yeah, even down to that, even like she fully embraces how she grew up. She doesn't try to pretend she's ghetto. That's the thing. Like Beyonce doesn't
Right.
pretend like she know hood shit. Honestly, she doesn't. Even when she
Right.
does get a little buck on us, it ain't like she know we know what it is. So like, it's just
Exactly.
authenticity is just. I mean, and again, Taylor Swift is authentically mediocre. She's not inauthentic. She just really is basic as fuck, and
Yeah.
I'm tired of her. I don't know what else to say. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I will vibe to 22. I'll have the windows down. We feel like 22. That's my shit. You know what I
That I
mean?
don't know. But I like Shake It Off. I ain't gonna lie.
See,
Please,
I
please,
hate that
please,
song.
please, 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 please.
Or you know what's another button that I love from her? I knew you were trouble when you walked in. That's
I'm
a
good on that. You know
I'm
what?
like, girl,
If she would have stuck in her country bag, because my shit
yeah.
is someday I'll be living in a big old city, and all you're
Oh, I
ever
don't know
gonna
that
be
one.
is
Oh,
me.
yeah. That's a
Yeah,
good one. That's a good one. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like, and they put her into this whole like, yeah, she's a country artist, I guess, but like they started making her more pop, and or
yeah,
she started doing that. I'm not really sure, but again, and it's like her performances are not that great. Like, they're not good at all. Like, I tried to watch that
yeah.
HBO special. It was just like so hard. I had to knuckle through that
Mimi,
shit.
you know what
Meanwhile,
she? Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no,
No, I
no,
was like,
no.
meanwhile, I don't even like all of Lady Gaga's music for real. But her HBO special of whatever tour that was, I watched it 3 times, 4 times, just because she
Mm-hmm.
knows how to present the work in a certain like. Anyway, go ahead. What were you about to say?
I actually lost my train of thought. Damn, what was I? Oh yeah, you know what? You know where she completely lost me? Like she never had me, but like she really lost me. with her bargain bin renaissance on the AMAs that one year where she had like a little marching
Oh,
band after
yeah. The
Beyonce did
homecoming.
Beychella. I was like, you know what,
Hmm.
bitch,
Yeah,
move around
exactly.
because I
Exactly.
cannot with this. I was
Ah,
like, this is a perfect example of colonization and watering down of like they try to steal our rhythm, but they can't.
she pretty much went and got a Civil War reenactment drum line. And like, tell me that wasn't what that was.
Oh.
Like, come on. So yeah,
It
yeah.
gave
So I mean, yeah, it is.
live, right?
Brrrr, brrrr, boom, boom, brrrr, boom. That's what that bitch did after she saw Homecoming. I'm like, where did you get that? Where did you even get that? That's what that. What would we? Okay.
Right.
So yeah, we but Lionel Richie, real quick before we hang up.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention is honorable, and the only reason why I say honorable mention and I wouldn't put him officially on the list is at the end of the day he's kind of an icon. He worked with Michael Jackson very closely, and he has. But even when I say this, I'm just like because okay, they had that man host the AMAs the same night that they recorded We Are the World, right? So he did the AMAs. I guess he was coked up or something because he stayed up for another 12 or 13 hours
Wow. I mean,
recording
this
We
was
Are
the
the World.
80s, so I'm not surprised.
Listen, everybody was coked up.
All them
That's
bitches
listen, and
was
I'm
skiing
not saying that that's a
regularly.
fact. I'm just saying he said himself on that documentary he was up since 6 a.m. or some shit doing all the prep for the show, did the show, and then stayed up until like the next morning.
If it wasn't Coke, it was Adderall.
How else you think? I just, but did they have Red Bull in the 80s? I don't think so. Um, but so I mean, but even with that, I'm like what was so great about any songs he wrote or anything he had done at that point to give him the right to like host that award show. Like maybe because I wasn't around at the height of his fame, maybe I missed something. So that's why I'm like, maybe I can't speak to the full moment. But from what I know, um, I don't get it. Okay, because I wasn't
Yeah,
around for a lot of people's height.
I
I
was just
wasn't
about to
around
say,
for
I'm like, were we
I
around
wasn't around
for
for James
Jimi
Brown.
Hendrix? Like,
Yeah, but I get it. When I hear the
right.
music, when I see this, I'm like, oh, I get it. I wasn't around for Josephine Baker, but when I see what she did on, I get it. So, and the influence from those people, like you see the influence of Jimi Hendrix on the Prince and the, even white artists like guitarists and things like they all reference a Jimi Hendrix almost all the time.
Hmm.
Even with Josephine Baker, so many black women performers, like they reference her, they know of her, like you can even see the influence in their art. I don't see anything resonating from Lionel Richie or the Commodores. Even they might have had a bop or two, but I
Hmm.
just it just missed me. You know,
Right.
um, yeah. So that's where I am on him.
So you love to hate, and I do too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that we're ending on a lighter note because we did come in pretty hot and heavy. But again,
Hot and
this is who
heavy.
we
Mm,
are, and these are the
yeah.
kinds of conversations that we tend to have. So,
Mm.
I want to thank you guys for joining
Woo!
us on the first episode of Hold Up, Let Me Call My Sis.
Yes.
Big sister, let everybody know again where they can find you.
And or if you're in the Atlanta area, I'll be there. I ain't gonna tell people really where I be in case y'all crazy. But I am I am in Atlanta. My social media handles, well, I'm mostly really on IG. I don't really mess with too many other platforms. And I am LaMia underscore radiant one, the number one, on Instagram. And then my podcast page is Y'all Gotta Go With Me. So y'all with no apostrophe, gotta, GOTTA, go with, WIT, and me, ME. All one word. So y'all gotta go with me. That's my podcast handle on Instagram.
Awesome. And you guys
Mm.
can find me at deconstructing underscore neuro and like Nancy EURO. That's my handle on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. Those are my big three.
Whoop,
And
whoop.
then at T Jamaica Pogue on Instagram if you like travel content, as well as
Oh
on
yes.
YouTube because all of my podcast for Beyond Deconstructing is on YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Mm.
And I'm going to be bringing back season 3 of Beyond Deconstructing, and it will be a YouTube series. So make sure you go over there. We're going to leave links in the description of this episode for all of our socials. And yeah, thanks again for
Mhm.
stopping by. And
Yes.
big sister, as always, it's a pleasure chatting with you.
Yes. Now we're gonna actually make our 6 hour long conversations productive to some degree. Because honestly, y'all, we would be talking like this whether y'all was in on it or not. That's the thing. So
Period.
why
And
not?
actually, like us recording it keeps it like what 2 hours at least,
It keeps
and that's light work. This is light work for us.
very
Like,
the way we could. It's the ADHD in both of us. That's why we can. The tangents we would go on is insane. So yeah, you guys are
right.
actually. Hey, Lou. Oh my God, you're so snatched back. So y'all like
There
y'all
you
got okay
go.
okay. I'm recording my podcast with my sis right now. Sorry, one of my coworkers is giving me like slaying.
Period.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but what was I just saying? See, like
Exactly. Hey, look, a squirrel.
easily
ADHD.
distracted. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please come back. There's only more where this came from, as we're pretty much that's what we're basically saying. There is more where this came from, and we got more for y'all.
Exactly. Exactly. Much love, and see you guys back in 2 weeks at this point. Maybe
Yes,
next week. We don't know. We'll see.
we'll see, we'll see, we'll see. And I think we still have to do a little bonus app because I just realized from the MJ thing, I'm like, there's like 30 minutes. We're gonna cap it at 30 minutes. I'm gonna hit all the stuff
Sure.
we didn't get to.
Sure.
That'll be our bonus
Okay.
app. But no, yeah. But anyway, yes, please come back, and also if you want to indulge in our separate podcast and catch up on anything we did with those, that would be you get to know us a little better too that way.
Yeah. All right. Much love. See you guys next time.
Bye bye.